Hello, welcome. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing quite well. I'm still dealing with a bullshit that is insurance, and I hope everything can be solved within, pretty much within by middle of next week, basically. I hope everything can be solved by middle of next week. Oh yeah. Anywho. We're moving on to our next art challenge. So what we're doing is basically our character theme is going to be a dark wizard. Their talent is basically stonks. They gotta look independent. The physical trait that the generator gave me is to give it chubby cheeks. And the colors are interesting. Is again, the eyes will be sky blue, and the the hair is gonna be sky blue, and eyes gonna be thistle. You know what? It should be the opposite way around. The hair should be thistle, and the eye color should be sky blue. We're gonna go with that. Even more interesting. Anyway, how's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Alright.
I know the one that you asked to come to co-host is okay, though under the weather.
And I might and I introduce to you my co-host 𝙂𝙚. Everyone welcome her. She's a very close friend of mine. You don't enter any viewers yet, but eventually.
Oh, that means it's the great time to be lewd. Wait, no, it's not.
That was like someone will pop in. Plus I have the stream VOD to upload, so people will just watch it from there too. So yeah, so this is gonna be interesting. He's making a dark wizard. So basically a villain wizard who's good at stonks. Oh, I have an idea. We can make a crypto wizard. It's both evil and stonky. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna like I'm gonna search up wizard robes and whatnot, so well yeah, okay, while I'm in my search for inspiration, I'm gonna also be watching basically what the video is what if Padme gave birth during the Clone Wars. So not after it, during the Clone Wars.
Let's start today's story during the first year of the Clone Wars. Anakin has just returned from Meridian and goes to Padme's apartment. He can sense that she is trembling. He asks her what's wrong, to which she reveals that she is pregnant with their child. Anakin stumbles on his words. He is concerned for how they will deal with this, but ultimately, he is beyond happy. They share a hug and celebrate the fact that they will have children. This became a small scandal in the Senate, as Padme wouldn't reveal who the father is. The other senators wanted to know, mainly because they knew if she was keeping it a secret, the likelihood of it being someone she shouldn't have a child with was high. But Chancellor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious, knew. He would keep his knowledge hidden for the time being, believing that he could use it to his advantage later on. And so, 9 months later, in the second year of the Clone War, Padme Amidala gives birth to twins, named Luke and Leia. All of a sudden, life became very good for Anakin. He had a wife, 2 kids, the Jedi giving him recognition for his incredible talents during the Clone Wars, and he had a strong connection with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. He was known as the hero with no fear, the poster boy for the Jedi Order. The only thing he struggled with was not having enough time to spend with his family, but now he did have something to fight for. As the Clone Wars continued to rage on, the people of the Republic were growing tired of the war and believed the Jedi were turning into soldiers, but Anakin was the exception. His good looks and charismatic approach to his duties made him the most popular and well-liked Jedi in the Order. At a young age, Anakin's children showed a strong affinity for the Force. Anakin and Padme first saw this when the two were only a few months old, squabbling over some food. Luke gets annoyed at young Leia and uses the Force to knock her off balance, displaying strength at a young... Luke gets annoyed at young Leia and uses
Yeah, the AI voice is kind of off-putting.
the Force to knock her off balance, displaying strength that a young infant should not be able to use, but only could as the offspring of the Chosen One. This continued for a few weeks as their Force abilities would continue to show. This worried Padme more than Anakin. They had both decided they desired to keep them away from the Jedi life, and instead let them grow up and decide the path they wanted. But then displaying this level of ability was concerning. Padme would ask Anakin to help them control their abilities so that they don't consume them. When Anakin was on Coruscant, he would help train the children. Even though they were only a few months old, they were able to manage their power. Leia could lift cups and stones at will, and Luke was able to sense which hand Anakin was holding the hilt of his lightsaber behind his back. Compared to other children their age, they were unbelievably strong, and Anakin could tell in the future they will grow into extremely powerful Force users. Palpatine kept an eye on this through his spies and long network, allowing him to understand the children's power. He orchestrated for the children's power to be overtly displayed in front of the council in order for them to question their heritage. The following day, Padme took the children to the Senate, and after the session, Padme was grabbed and pushed to the floor by mercenaries. This was per their orders from Sidious. The children were immediately aggravated and they screamed and cried as any infant would as their mother gets shoved in front of them. This caused the children to simultaneously force push the man backwards as he fell to the floor. Senators all around stared in shock as the Coruscant guard took the men, and the senators helped Padme back to her feet, telling her that the children are magnificent. Padme hurried to take her kids and get home. She calls Anakin to come home from his mission immediately. After telling him what happened, they knew how dire the situation was and that it was imperative they face whatever happens next together and united. Padme will be summoned to the Jedi Council the next day where they mention the incident that happened in the Senate. She tells them that they must be mistaken. Her children aren't Force sensitive, they were just upset. After displaying the security footage of the children using the Force to Padme, they ask if they could test the children just to make sure, but Padme refuses. Windu asks Senator Amidala to tell them who the father is. This was probably the 100th time she had been asked, and she gave them the same response as always, that she didn't feel at liberty to say. When she left, the council remained silent. They could all sense she was lying. It was clear there was something mysterious about the father. Padme raced home and told Anakin everything that happened. This was a big problem. If the Jedi tested the children's midichlorian count, then they would see an extremely high number, similar to Anakin, which would give away who the father is, and then both of their careers would be in jeopardy. Mace Windu takes matters into his own hands. Whilst Padme is in the Senate, he goes and gets a blood sample from the children. Though unethical, the children have been known to do this before, such as Qui-Gon who took Anakin's blood without consent. Windu is suspicious of Anakin. He knows he and Padme have spent a lot of time together and thinks back to their mission all across the galaxy back before the Clone Wars. Perhaps that was when the spark was created. The test reading would come back and Windu would learn that the children hold 20,000 midichlorians, more than Yoda and almost as much as Anakin. Windu doesn't know what to think. It doesn't make any sense. But then once again, he makes the connection between how close Anakin and Padme are. There is only one possibility. Anakin Skywalker is the father. Windu is absolutely furious. He immediately calls a council meeting and the other Jedi Masters are shocked. After reviewing the midichlorian test, they all agree. Yoda asks Kenobi if he thinks it's possible that Anakin is the father, to which he freezes. He tries to cover up his answer by saying there are many possibilities, but when Ki-Adi-Mundi asks for a specific yes or no answer, Kenobi sighs, saying that it is definitely in the realm of possibilities. He didn't want to out his apprentice, though he didn't know for sure. He himself already had a strong inclination. He couldn't lie directly to the council, it wasn't in his nature. Yoda asked for suggestions on how they should proceed. Kenobi was the first to argue for Anakin's sake, saying that he is the chosen one and should be given dispensation that allows him to remain in the Order and with his kids. He points at Mundi, reminding them that he is married with kids. Exceptions have been made in the past, and Anakin's unique case of being the chosen one, burdened with destroying the Sith, is one of these cases. But then Kit Fisto explains that this doesn't excuse his actions. He has broken the Jedi Code and he should be punished for it. The Jedi nod, before Plo Koon stands up for Anakin, mentioning how he has been the most effective general in the Clone War. It would be foolish to expel him. He agreed that the code has been broken, but expelling the Chosen One prophesies to destroy the Sith during a war against the Sith holds no logic and will only condemn him to a fate of darkness. Yoda agrees with the statement and believes that for the time being, Anakin should remain in the Order and continue fighting. Windu asks what will become of the children, believing that they should be brought into the temple and trained at once. There shouldn't be children out in the world with the Chosen One's bloodline and not trained by the Jedi. This was unanimous, even by Kenobi, who thought it was best if the children were trained. That night, Windu, Kit Fisto, and Ki-Adi-Mundi, along with the 187th Legion, go to Padme's apartment to collect the children. As they enter, they see Anakin sitting with Padme and the two children running around. Anakin asks what the meaning of this is, to which Windu replies that they know he is the father and now the children are coming with them. Anakin stands guard and refuses to let the Jedi take them. The course of the war had changed the Jedi. They were now darker, more brutal. These actions weren't uncommon for the Jedi, to take young infants of the Force away from families to
I need
teach them
to
the
pause it. Thank you, 𝙂𝙗 𝘖𝙗. How you going, Elijah? Hi, thank you, Elijah, for following. Welcome. How are you doing today? My name is Brandon Bliss. I'm a variety streamer. I stream lots of video games, chat suggest me, as well as I draw art, I do coding, and hopefully sooner or later, I'll be streaming 3D modeling to everyone here. Welcome. How are you doing today? It's an honor for you to be here. We're currently in the midst of brainstorming ideas for the next art challenge. And so how are you doing today? I got some chat. I got some ideas for like the robe, the wizard robe. I think she would like. I kind of like want to do like an indigo, like black indigo or black dark gold. Both of them seem very good for aesthetics. Alright, let's see here.
art of being Jedi. In fact, it was written in Republic law. But Windu almost felt like this was a personal vendetta. He hated Anakin, and he wanted to see him suffer. Windu ignites his lightsaber and moves forward, claiming that the children are from the Chosen One bloodline. Their power could ensure the protection of the Republic for generations to come. But this wasn't the life either Skywalker wanted for their children. Anakin ignites his sapphire blade and tells Windu if he makes another step, he will protect his family with Force. As Anakin and the other Jedi approach, Anakin raises his hand, his emotions increasing with every second. He takes a step back and a deep breath, using his immense Chosen One Force powers as he blasts all of the Jedi back and smashes the clones together, rendering them unconscious. He was extremely powerful, the Chosen One of the Force. By the time the Jedi regained their vision, Anakin, Padme, and their children were gone. They immediately went into hiding, knowing that for the time being, they needed some time away from the Republic to figure out what was best for their family.
Oh no.
Over the coming days, news that Anakin is the father of Padme Amidala's children becomes public, and the entire Republic learns about it. This was a big deal. Padme is a respected senator, and Anakin was arguably the most popular and famous Jedi at the time. It became a shock to people that they were missing and couldn't be located. They were effectively turned into celebrities, the Kardashians of the Star Wars universe. However, Palpatine used this to his advantage, spreading lies that Anakin and Padme had been colluding with the Separatists, and this is one of the reasons they have gone into hiding, because the Jedi were closing in on finding out the truth, and now they have defected from the Republic and its courts. There was a mountain of fabricated evidence that supported this, such as images with Anakin and Padme with Sand Hill and Newt Gunray, chat logs with Dooku, and financial trails from Padme to the Separatists. This was all revealed. The Jedi were divided. Some believed this was false, like Yoda, Plo Koon, and Kenobi. But then some masters such as Windu, Mundi, and Depa Billaba campaigned that it was true. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would begin investigating to see what was true and what was false. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka's investigation into Anakin and Padme's supposed collusion with the Separatists led them through a false web of leads and fabricated evidence. After a series of dead ends, they noticed a peculiar pattern in the timing and encryption of the damning communications. The coding bore a unique signature they had only encountered once before in highly classified Republic transmissions. This anomaly prompted them to access restricted Senate recordings, where they found that the encryptive algorithm was exclusively used by Chancellor Palpatine's office. Still uncertain, they cross-referenced the logs of the alleged traitorous communications with Palpatine's known schedule and movements, uncovering several suspicious overlaps. The final piece fell into place when they intercepted a covert message to the Separatist leader from within the Senate bearing the same encryption. Through meticulous decryption and analysis, they traced it back to a hidden transmission that only Palpatine's inner circle could access. Their investigation, now pointing towards Palpatine's sinister intentions, not only exonerated their friends, but also exposed the Chancellor's duplicitous nature, revealing that he is not only working with the Separatists, but he is the Sith Lord. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka presented their findings to the Jedi Council, who were initially reluctant to believe the revelation that Chancellor Palpatine was the architect of the deception and the Sith Lord. However, the evidence was irrefutable, and they knew they had to act on this now. Anakin was in danger, and more importantly, the Republic was in danger the longer they allowed the Sith Lord to be in power. Understanding the urgency, Obi-Wan dispatched Ahsoka to locate Anakin, who had been in seclusion for months, to inform him of Palpatine's treachery and his innocence. Meanwhile, the Jedi Council confronted Palpatine to arrest him. The Jedi arrive in his office and declare that he is under arrest. Palpatine snarled, refusing to go lightly. He stands to his feet and ignites his lightsaber. The Jedi prepare their defenses and the confrontation erupts into a ferocious battle into his office, the air thick with crackling energy of clashing lightsabers and the dark aura of the Sith Lord.
Okay, that's interesting.
Palpatine, revealing his full dark power, moved with blinding speed and...
Also, I got an idea. So, for the wizard robe file. Wait, come on. You know, if you make a program with Windows in mind, you would think to use Windows effectively, but no. Why did you fucking over there? Right. There you go, there's a robe. There's a rope I want to use. And focus on top hip. I gotta figure out the pose I want to do first. Can't really draw clothes if you don't have the pose idea started. Alright. Alright. Here we go.
and ruthless precision, swiftly cutting down several Jedi Masters, including Plo Koon, Mundi, and Fisto. The room became a blur of motion as Palpatine's red blade danced through the council members, leaving only Yoda and Mace Windu standing against him. The other 5 Masters are on the floor dead. Their combined skill and synergy prove formidable, and together they press their attacks forward, each encountering Palpatine's strike with grace and power. The duel reached its peak as Yoda's acrobatics and Windu's powerful strikes began to overwhelm the Sith Lord. With a coordinated effort, they managed to knock Palpatine to the ground, his malevolent grin momentarily faltering. Just as Yoda and Windu prepared to deliver the final blow, the doors burst open and Anakin Skywalker walked in, his presence commanding immediate attention. Palpatine, seizing the moment, called out to Anakin for help, his voice dripping with desperation and false camaraderie. Anakin ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life, and for a tense moment, Palpatine's confidence surged, believing his victory was assured. However, Anakin's gaze was stoic and resolute as he moved to stand beside Yoda and Windu. Palpatine's smile faded as Anakin chose the Jedi. Together, they were too much for the fallen Chancellor, and with a series of powerful blows, they defeated Palpatine. In the aftermath of Palpatine's defeat, the Jedi Council convened to discuss the future of Anakin Skywalker. They recognized his pivotal role in vanquishing the Sith Lord, but also the need for a new path for the Chosen One. After much deliberation, different ideas were given. Some advocate for him to stay within the Order and forget the whole thing, others saying he should take a lesser role in the Order as punishment. Ultimately, along with Anakin's help and agreement, they agreed that Anakin would leave the Jedi Order and focus on raising his children away from the conflicts of the Republic. With Padme by his side, Anakin took their children, Luke and Leia, to Naboo, seeking Padme's peaceful homeworld. There, Anakin begins a new chapter, instilling in his children the teachings of the Force with a blend of wisdom and love. As they grow, Luke and Leia become powerful and wise Force users, embodying the balance their father had sought. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka would often visit, and they became the aunt and uncle of the kids who loved them dearly. Meanwhile, the Republic emerged victorious in the Clone Wars, a hard-fought triumph that paved the way for a new era. The Senate, determined to avoid the pitfalls of the past, elected a new Chancellor in Bail Organa, who was committed to peace and restoration. The galaxy began to heal, with renewed hope and a collective resolve to build a future, defined by unity and peace, free from the shadow of the Sith.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting ending. It's a bit, honestly, I think it's a bit meh, but I like it. Let me still. If everything will load, thank you.
All right, we're checking out the only game where the more sun you get, the less life.
Alright, here we go.
All right, we're checking out the only game where the more sun you get, the less life expectancy you'll have. It's Universe Sandbox. This is the sun. As a gamer, I was constantly told that I should get more of it growing up. This is the Earth, the place where I keep all of my stuff. Well, I guess me and everyone else. So here's the plan for today. Since I was often told to get more sun, I thought to myself, hey, why not, instead of spending more time in the sun, just make the sun bigger? Then technically that's like getting more sun.
Wait,
I
what?
like sunburn. Excellent. And so as I like sunburn looks directly at the sun,
I should
what
keep
we're gonna
OBS
do
open.
is we're going to lock the mass where it currently is, because if the mass
Thank you, thank you. How are you doing today? Alright.
As continues to go up, it'll just suck everything in the entire solar system into it and turn us all into one giant puddle of black hole sadness. Instead, what we're going to do is increase the radius. This should allow us to get the sun absurdly close to the Earth as the radius goes up and up, but the mass stays exactly the same. Now, in order to truly understand what we're dealing with here, we have to go ahead and move things along and then look at our temperature and make a graph. There we go. We can see the seasons. Look at that. I never thought that you would get to see the seasons so extravagantly. Oh, it's beautiful. I love how over time, though, the temperature of the planet just goes up. Now, knowing that, we're going to go ahead and grab the sun, and we're going to make sure that the mass stays right where it is. There we go. And we're gonna go ahead and start increasing the radius. Let's go ahead and make it 1.25. So a quarter more. Now, one of the things that you're going to see almost immediately, and I didn't realize this until just now, is that the surface temperature is going to start decreasing on the sun. I assume this is because the density is going down. There's less sun juices to shoot into the planet, you see? Now, despite there being less sun juices, Earth is getting pretty hot. the temperature, the average temperature of the Earth is moving along quite nicely. I think we started right around 7.5 degrees Celsius, and that was with the constant warming. Yeah, we're already at about 10 degrees Celsius, and we're only about 5 years into the future from where we were. Now, for the most part, I would expect everyone is still enjoying the planet. Well, 10% of the people are not enjoying the planet. They were possibly enjoying the planet, but they are no longer enjoying the planet. They are enjoying the dirt, of which there is still plenty of. Fortunately for everyone, you can exist for a while because there's still plenty of dirt to get buried in. It hasn't been vaporized yet. But you can see just the average temperature keeps on climbing, just keeps on going up. Ice caps, I would assume, are getting smaller over time. Let's take a look at these Daughtry graphs right over here. You'll notice right around Florida, it is a cool, crisp 24 degrees Celsius, whereas I've come to know it only 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the liquid depth is going up. I don't know if you saw that, but it just jumped a meter. There, it just jumped another meter. So if things continue onward like this, parts of the planet may end up underwater. However, we're going to have to continue to increase the size of the sun to see if anything changes. So we will take the sun and we will increase it. Let's say 1.5 radius of the sun. Now, if we stay on it here, you'll notice that the surface temperature continues to go down. That is something that's happening. However, how are things over?
Okay, so I'm trying making like a perfect move. Like, what's the most like wizardy pose have you ever? I guess it'd be like with your arms raised. You know those I think it was doodles, doodles. It's like, I cast a piece of popcorn stuck between your teeth. You can feel it with your tongue, but not your finger. Like those kind of things. I think I want to do like mimic that, but like in my style. I guess this accident turned into draw this in your sock kind of thing, but yeah. I'm gonna try my best to like do this by
on I Like Sunburn. Well, I'm glad you asked. They're continuing to get pretty hot. We now have an average temperature of about 14 degrees Celsius. So in the last, I don't know, 6 months, it's gone up about 4 degrees Celsius. The only thing that we're doing is like increasing the trajectory of the heat index of Earth by a lot. I felt kind of scared because as I zoomed into Earth, all I saw was water. But basically, it was just a lack of luck. I just happened to turn Earth into an area where all there was water. Yeah, you can see the ice on the top of the planet is definitely starting to recede. It's kind of like a hairline, like male pattern baldness. The Earth has that, just on the top and the bottom right now. Now, how hot is it on the rest of the planet? Well, let's take a look here. It's not terrible. About, 78 degrees over in Florida right now. Japan's 58. Now, to be fair, it is February, so it should be a little cooler right now. That's 2029. How many people have I murdered so far? What are we at percentage-wise? Oh, 87%, huh? To be fair, this is probably
Oh,
the
no.
slowest, like, heat death of the planet I've ever done. So what we'll do is we'll let this go on, I would say, until about, I don't know, like 2030 or so. Oh, right here, things have leveled off very slow. Nope, never mind, I lied. They didn't level off at all. So yeah, we'll go ahead and stop right about 2031. There we are. So now the average temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. Again, we've only had like a year and a half go by for an extra 3 degrees Celsius to happen. Florida is now around 85 degrees Fahrenheit in places, 86. Life likelihood, if I press the button over here, it does continue to drop. All right, we might as well go much larger at this point. So instead of 1.5, let's just go straight to 2.5. You could visibly see the sun get bigger there. In fact, I'm gonna rename this something. Sun, but with more saturated fat. Perfect. Now the temperature on the sun will really start to drop now. Planet Earth, still getting pretty hot. I shouldn't say planet Earth. I should say I like sunburn. It is really cool to watch it like stagnate for just a second. It's almost dropping in places. Over on I Like Sunburn, the average temperature of the planet is 22 degrees Celsius or 71 degrees Fahrenheit. That doesn't seem that bad until you realize that Florida right now, where originally it was like 78, is 98. Australia was beautiful back in the day. Northern Australia is like 104, 105. The water depth, 9,004, has gone up, I don't know, however many meters that is. Well, not however many meters that is, however many meters it's gone up. And other than that, I mean, maybe we've lost a little bit of the beaches, but for the most part, the planet seems okay. Well, you know, except for being like 105 degrees in places. So we'll go ahead and we'll let this roll around a little bit. We'll speed things up here. There we go. And now that we've kind of created this large cucumber curve over here, we can take the sun and go even more ridiculous. So now we're just gonna go straight to 5. Boom. You can see the brightness changes, but the amount of temperature that the sun pours out into, like, you know, the rest of the solar system just keeps going down. There we go, moving things along, looking good. Not really sure what happened there, but they're gone. Good old 25 degrees Celsius over on I Like Sunburn. And look at this. Look at this right here. It's barely going up now. I think that we have found the magic spot. It's back to looking basically like normal. I mean, you know, it's 20 degrees Celsius on average hotter. The oceans rise about a meter every year or
Hi,
so.
Magic
But hey,
Pants.
what's 20 meters?
I'm doing okay. I'm currently doing my fourth art challenge. We're gonna be doing like a wizard theme one. So I thought maybe inspired by the something username Doodles. You know, all the wizard memes and that. That's inspired by that. So I'm just trying to do it in my style.
Meters over 20 years. So right now, the
It's
hottest
okay.
Hi,
place on
Magic.
Earth is 118 degrees Fahrenheit. I still have 82% of
Gracie, you,
When I got the feeling, Brand, you completely forgot I was here.
Gracie, all of chat forgot you were here. That's how invisible you were.
I always knew I was a ghost.
I give you hugs.
the population to torture. And the planet Earth has basically become like the
Also, when I'm drawing, I just get so hyper focused on it, I forget about everything else.
inverse Picard when it comes to its hairstyle. You can see the amount of snow chilling out. Well, I shouldn't say chilling. The amount of snow boiling up on top here is continuing to decrease. In fact, while I've been talking, we've gone up to 9,008, kind of just staying around there. Things might get kind of out of hand now when we go to 10 radius. Oh my god. Look at how much the surface temperature's gone down. Oh boy. Oh my god. Hey, I like sunburn. Still okay. Man, this is working out great. We're gonna end up with the sun literally in 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙧𝙖𝙩𝙀𝙀's backyard. What's weird is the difference between the warmest part and the coldest part of the year is like bigger. I mean, it's still not much, but it's there. We're up to 9,009 meters in liquid depth. Look at this. The ice thickness is growing? How? Look at it go. I've like inverted what I've done somehow. What is going on? That is weird. I'm not really sure how, but like the extremes on the Earth are incredibly extreme. Like 119 degrees is the hottest for Fahrenheit. Negative 98 degrees Fahrenheit is the coldest. It goes up to like 106. Science is awesome. All right, well, we can see that, you know, the sun is beginning to lose its beautiful yellow color. It's starting to just turn like a sad orange. I mean, we gotta keep going. So 20 radius. Here we go. It could also be that we're losing some of the extremes on this graph, and that's why these numbers are looking so much different. They're not really that much different. It's just kind of like what happens when the graph kind of gets more in line with the current stuff that's happening to the Earth. I've been oh my God, what happened to Pluto? Was that Pluto right there? Did you see it? Behind, oh God, I thought it was Pluto. Oh, surface temperature on the sun, sad, okay? 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit, not much. Down here in planet Earth though, ice content continuing to go up. Why? No clue. No idea. Ice thickness is continuing to rise, though. I don't know. Everyone looks fine to me. Is it like 115 degrees in some places of Australia? Sure. But it's 105 in some places in Florida. It's honestly just a normal day right now. All right. We'll go ahead and allow this to kind of do its thing for a few moments. I think we're about to potentially swallow up Mercury. I'm not really sure because now we have to go to 40 radius. Oh, nope. We're not there yet. Hold on. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. We are running out of energy for the sun to vomit at people, though. The sun is now a bright red. The temperature on 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙀 is okay. It's static, I would say. Now, in case you're wondering what it would look like to have a sun like this, so if we kind of go over on this side over here, and then we land on the planet, as you do, you would wake up, look out from your bedroom window, and oh my God. Oh, wow.
Oh no.
Oh boy. Like even if I get rid of all the trails and stuff like that, and I turn off the atmosphere, good Lord. This is from the surface. Takes up most of the sky. All right, somehow the solar system is still functioning. So let's go ahead and double this now. There we go. I had to go back to this number because it's nice and even. 80. Oh my God. Mercury? Oh. Never mind. I was gonna say Mercury is still around. I don't know if you saw the little that happened. It's now a bunch of fragments just surrounding the sun. Oh no. Oh, I'm sure it'll be okay. Oh, the sun is turning blood red. That's kind of awesome. Uh-oh, the sun is starting to lose its red color. The sun is running out of AA batteries. This is real bad. Oh, the sun is just turning gray. That's fine if you're me. It's not fine if you're anyone else. It's down to 820... Well, 810K. I can't believe that the Earth is still getting enough energy from the sun. I mean, to be fair, it's not very far. It doesn't give off enough light to illuminate the planet anymore. I have to artificially illuminate the planet so that you can see it. Okay, you ready? You're looking for the sun. You're looking for the sun. You're looking for the sun. There it is. If I get rid of everything and all we can see is the sun, I'm on the surface, that's how much of the sky it takes up. Now, to be fair, it's not really doing very much. I'm just kind of moving time along here. Okay, 160. Now, I think Venus is going to immediately get obliterated. I mean, I can try and click on it, and I can try and slow this way down so that we can see if we catch it. But it might, like, already be inside. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, Venus is already inside. Boop. So Venus is gone. All right, so that leaves us with 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙀. Hopefully, the extremely low amount of gravity that's going on right now Won't actually like immediately murder us or anything. So things are looking great. There we go. There's some more fragments from where Venus exploded, just shooting back out into the the solar system. They're only moving 27 kilometers a second though, so you know it's only like getting shot at by a bunch of rail guns. Fortunately, none of them seem to have hit Earth. Talk about that kind of luck. I came over here just to make absolutely sure. Yeah, we're good. We're doing okay. This is so weird to see it just so close. So large in comparison. You can see some of the areas where the other planets like struck the sun. Average temperature is holding. Well, the sun kind of heated up very slightly for like 1 second, and then it kind of didn't anymore. Remember how I was talking about Pluto? Did anyone see Pluto just like shoot on by? There it is. Hey, the temperature went up slightly. Probably because we're like 60 feet from the sun right now. So what we're gonna do, since we don't want the sun to just like, you know, instantaneously gobble up the Earth, is we're gonna go ahead and increase.
Okay, what's going on?
Increase. Stop. I want to get right about at the doorstep.
Overlays.
Closer. We can go more. There. Oh, hey, ho. There we go. Right about there. Perfect. Go ahead and slow things
I'll be
down.
seeing it.
Now the Earth may explode immediately. Not really sure. We'll find out right now. Oh God! What happened? What is going on? What is happening with this? Oh my God!
Oh,
Why did the
no.
sun just become super hot? I feel like I didn't do this. Oh, the sun's temperature is going up. It's at 48,000 degrees Kelvin. Okay, never mind. It's 60,000 degrees.
Oh no,
Kelvin.
everyone's
Never mind,
dead.
It's 70,000 degrees Kelvin. What is happening? All we did was increase
no.
the radius. 127. How's Earth doing? I don't think that the heat has had time to hit the Earth yet. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh God. Well, that ain't good. Not really sure why this is happening or why this is happening. But considering we're like, you know, just a little, like a stone's throw away from the surface of this Satanism, it could be real bad. Hey, Earth, how you doing? Earth's like irradiated. So if you were to land on the
Irradiated.
it's kind of curious
Accurate.
what it would look like. Oh boy. You don't get to see any sky. It's basically all just sun. Well, you know, I use that word loosely. Let me turn off the atmosphere. Oh God! Oh, it's pretty blinding. Oh, you think it's blue sky, but it's not. It's literally just the size of the sun. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep things moving along here. What's the temperature of the sun, Gray? A lot.
A lot.
It's a lot. It's pretty
Oh,
hot,
no.
to be honest with you. I'm gonna take a chance and kind of like speed things up just a little bit. Oh, hold on here. Something's happening. The sun is getting colder. Why? Who knows? No idea. Here we go. The sun
Something's
is
happening?
cooling off. It's cooling off very, very quickly. Super fast. Maybe I like sunburn. Won't have time to immediately turn into a puddle of dead lava. Yes. Yes. There we go. 10 seconds per second have gone by. 34,000. 26,000. Look at the colors change. That's pretty cool. 14,000. Oop. Uh-oh. Okay, I like sunburn. Is still alive. Sort of. Just barely. We're sitting next to the sun over here. The delicious... Like, we are absurdly close to the sun right now. I'm just gonna keep the speed moving. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, God! Huh. Well, how about that? I've created, like, perfect symbiosis. Huh. The Earth even has enough... Oh, God, never mind. Whoops.
Oh no, I was about to say.
Well, we're at the point where you might as well just... I think that the radius, the amount of mass that was in the sun couldn't support it anymore. And so the sun got so big, it just straight up vanished. Well, as you can see, now everything in the solar system is going to freeze to death. Well, and it's going to go shooting off into space because nothing's keeping it all together. Anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed this episode of Universe Sandbox. The next time, stay foxy and much love.
Honestly, that was the best episode of Universe Sandbox I've ever watched. Considering it's great still playing, so. Yeah. Alright, let's see here. Yep. Alright. I'm gonna have to search for another video. Don't mind my model just vanishing out of existence. Okay. Okay. There we go. Where's some? I need water. I need water. There we go. Alright. Come on.
Today we will be looking at two horrifying caving stories that went horribly wrong. As always, viewer discretion is advised. High in the misty hills of Kodaikanal,
Alright, there we go.
Tamil Nadu, at an elevation of 7,317 feet, 2,230 meters above sea level, there's a place that locals refuse to visit after dark. They call it the Devil's Kitchen, though tourists know it by a different name, the Gunna Caves. The caves
Oh no. I just got Gunna Cave, but it kind of just sounds like it's called Gooner Cave. It kind of just sounds like it's called Gooner Cave. Chat, you want to go to Gooner Cave? Yeah. What? What, if it's actually called Gooner Cave, unironically, I would actually go there.
Called Gunna. For generations, they were known simply as the Devil's Kitchen, a network of massive granite boulders stacked precariously on top of each other, creating narrow passages, dark chambers, and hidden pits that drop straight down into the mountain's core. Then, in 1991, a psychological thriller named Gunna was filmed there, and since then, the name stuck. The movie made the caves famous, but fame didn't make them any less deadly. By 2006, 13 people had fallen into the caves and never come out. The bodies of most were never recovered. Local guides would tell you stories about how the caves seemed to call to people, how visitors would wander away from their groups, drawn deeper into the darkness until they simply disappeared. The forest department had put up fences. They'd installed warning signs. But the signs were in Tamil, and most tourists couldn't read them. What made the Gunna Caves so deadly wasn't just
The signs are in Tamil?
it was everything.
You know, if you make something intended to be read by tourists, you'd think you would translate it to goddamn English. Or literally every other language on top of that. Not just your native language. Jesus fucking Christ. I swear to God, that government is just... That entire government is just a Darwin Award for that.
The moss-covered rocks were slippery. The passages were confusing, turning back on themselves. And scattered throughout were holes in the cave floor, some barely visible in the dim light, that dropped straight down for over 100 feet into chambers no one had ever fully explored. If you fell into one of those pits, you weren't coming back. The rescue teams had tried before. It never worked. That was the reputation of the Devil's Kitchen on September 3rd, 2006, when 9 friends from Manjamal, Kerala, decided to visit. They called themselves the 𝙂𝙬𝙖𝙚, a tight-knit group of painters and workers from the Darshana Arts Club near Kochi. They had grown up together, played together, worked together. This Onam vacation was supposed to be their big adventure, a celebration of their friendship. They pooled their money and headed to the hill station of Kodaikanal. 𝙂𝙀 nicknamed Kutan, was the unofficial leader. At 26, he was older than most of the others. Then there was 19-year-old Subhash Chandran, quiet, artistic, the youngest in the group. That morning, before leaving for the caves, Subhash had grabbed his younger brother's belt from the wall. There had been a brief argument between the siblings over it. Such a small, stupid thing. But everything happens for a reason that dictates our future and our end. The group arrived at the Guna Caves around midday. The place was stunning. Massive boulders creating cathedral-like spaces, shafts of sunlight breaking through the gaps, the whole area shrouded in that famous Kodaikanal mist. They saw the fence. It was broken in places, easy to cross. They saw the warning sign, but it was in Tamil. They were from Kerala. They couldn't read it, so they went in. At first, it was everything they'd hoped for. They explored the chambers, took photos, carved 𝙂𝙬𝙖𝙚 2006 into one of the rock walls. The caves felt like their own private adventure, a story they'd tell for years. While the guys were exploring, they suddenly realized that when they arrived, they were a total of 9 people. Now, they are 8. Subhash had vanished. One moment he was there, the next moment, just gone, without any sound or anything. 𝙂𝙂𝙣𝙚 was the first to notice. He'd been standing next to Subhash, and suddenly there was just empty space. The group rushed over. There, in the cave floor where Subhash had been standing, was a hole, maybe 3 feet, 1 meter across, irregular, the edges hidden by shadows and moss. They shined their phone lights into it. The beams disappeared into blackness. No bottom. No sound of impact. Just nothing. Someone shouted to him to stop fooling around and that the joke's over. But no one laughed. They all knew. Subhash wasn't joking. Some of the friends ran for help while others stayed, calling into the hole, hoping for a response. They ran to the nearby shop, breathless and terrified. The shopkeeper, Arumugam, listened to their story and all the color drained from his face. "Devil's Kitchen," he said quietly. "Nobody comes back from there. 13 people have fallen in." He didn't finish the sentence but made a gesture that said their friend was now one of them. However, he agreed to show them back to the spot. Meanwhile, other friends were at the police station, trying to explain what happened. The police inspector's first reaction wasn't sympathy. It was suspicion. He thought they'd murdered their friend and were staging an accident. But then it was evident that this wasn't the case. By the time authorities arrived at the caves, hours had passed. Rain had started falling, cold and heavy. The police, fire department, and forest officials stood around the hole, shaking their heads. A fire service officer lowered a rope and called down into the darkness. It was more procedure than hoped. Everyone there knew the reputation of this place. Then they heard it. Faint, weak, barely human, but unmistakable. A cry from deep below. Subhash was alive. Previously, he had stepped forward, unaware that the rock beneath him was slick with moisture and loose soil. His foot pressed down, and in an instant, the ground gave way. There was no time to shout, no moment to react. The earth crumbled soundlessly, and his body slipped through the narrow gap, vanishing into darkness. He fell silently, arms scraping against the jagged walls, trying to grab something, anything, to stop the fall. But the shaft was too tight, the rock too smooth. But then, with a violent jolt, his belt, the same belt for which he had an argument with his brother, caught on a protruding edge. The force twisted him sideways, slamming his shoulder and head against the wall. Pain exploded through him, but it also stopped the fall and saved his life during that time. Now, probably wedged deep inside the crevice, motionless and breathless, he could barely move. After he was located, the officials estimated, based on how faint his voice sounded, that he'd fallen at least 120 feet. 36.5 meters down. That's a 12-story building, a fall that should have killed him instantly. Somehow, impossibly, he'd survived just because of that belt. However, he was still stuck deep inside and was on borrowed time. But the officer in charge pulled David aside and told him something that made his blood run cold. 10 years ago, a central minister's nephew fell into this same hole. They brought in special forces, expert rescue teams, every resource the government could provide, but they still couldn't save him and never even found his body. The message was clear. 𝙂𝙗 might be alive now, but he wouldn't be for long. And anyone who tried to go down after him would just add another body to the count. The firemen tried everything they could from the surface. They lowered a longer rope, calling for 𝙂𝙗 to tie it around himself. No response. He'd lost consciousness. They discussed pumping oxygen down. They discussed calling for specialized equipment from other cities. But everyone there knew the truth. By the time any of that arrived, 𝙂𝙗 would be dead. David stood there watching these professional rescuers. These men trained to save lives, and not one of them was willing to go down. They were terrified, and they had every right to be. But David wanted to save his friend, so he decided that he'd go in. The police immediately protested. They told him he's not trained. The oxygen levels down there would kill him. But David was determined. He wasn't going back on his words. What happened next would be described as either the bravest or the most foolish thing anyone at the 𝙂𝙚 Caves had ever witnessed. David tied a 50-foot, 15-meter rope around his waist. He grabbed a small flashlight, and at roughly 4 p.m., 3 hours after 𝙂𝙗 had fallen, he lowered himself into the Devil's Kitchen. The descent was immediately nightmarish. The hole was barely wide enough for his shoulders. The walls were slick with moisture and covered in moss and bat droppings. It was cold. The smell was overwhelming. Decay and ammonia and something ancient. His flashlight revealed glimpses of the vertical shaft, jagged rocks, places where the passage narrowed to almost nothing, then opened into larger chambers. At around 60 feet, 18 meters down, David turned off his flashlight. The bats. There were hundreds of them, disturbed by his presence, their wings beating chaos in the confined space. The sound was disorienting, terrifying. He kept descending in pitch darkness, one hand on the rope, one hand touching the slimy walls. The first rope ran out. David was dangling in absolute blackness, still nowhere near the bottom. His friends above shouted down, asking if he was okay. The police told him to come back up. It was too dangerous to continue. But David could hear 𝙂𝙗, so he was not planning to give up. There was a long pause. Then they tied another rope to the first one and kept lowering him into the darkness. At approximately 120 feet, 36.5 meters down, deeper than any rescue attempt had ever gone in the 𝙂𝙚 Caves, David's flashlight finally found 𝙂𝙗. He was lying on a narrow rock ledge, maybe 3 feet, 1 meter wide, jutting out from the shaft wall. His body was twisted, blood covered his face and clothes. He was lying in a pool of black water, but his chest was moving. He was breathing. David carefully maneuvered onto the ledge. The space was barely big enough for one person. One wrong move, and they'd both plummet into the deeper darkness below. 𝙂𝙗's eyes snapped open, wild, terrified, not recognizing anything. In his traumatized state, he saw only a figure in the darkness. In the darkness below, David managed to calm 𝙂𝙗 enough to make him understand. He tied the rope around 𝙂𝙗's torso and signaled to the surface that they were ready. The ascent took another hour. Every foot was agony. The rope scraped against rocks. Both men bumped against the walls, reopening wounds. 𝙂𝙗 kept passing out, but then came back to consciousness. At one point, the rope snagged on an outcropping, and they were stuck. They thought, this is it, and now it's going to be impossible to get out. However, hanging in darkness, David worked to free it, and then the ascent continued. But inch by inch, they rose from the Devil's Kitchen. When they finally emerged, nearly 6 hours after 𝙂𝙗 had fallen, a cheer went up from the crowd that had gathered. 𝙂𝙗 was rushed to the hospital, unconscious, but alive. David
Ooh.
collapsed, his hands shredded, his body shaking. What none of them knew was that they'd just achieved the impossible. 𝙂𝙗𝙤𝙬 had become the first and only person in history to fall into the depths of the 𝙂𝙚 caves and come out alive. What happened? After, well, the 𝙂𝙚 boys were charged with trespassing in a prohibited area and fined 2,500 rupees. More
Oof.
painfully, they agreed among themselves not to tell anyone the full story. When people asked about 𝙂𝙗's injuries, they said he'd fallen from a waterfall. They thought they were protecting him, protecting his family. 𝙂𝙗 spent 60 days recovering, but the
Oof.
physical wounds healed faster than the psychological ones. He suffered nightmares so severe he needed trauma therapy for 6 months. And his mother blamed David. She didn't know he'd saved her son's life. She only knew 𝙂𝙗 had gone on a trip with David and come back broken. But eventually, the truth came out. When 𝙂𝙗's mother learned what really happened, she broke down crying, apologizing to David. In 2008, 𝙂𝙀 received the Jeevan Raksha Padak, India's civilian award for bravery from the president at the time.
Mm.
In September 1985, 5 young people decided to spend the
All
night
right.
camping in a shelter cave near the Platte River, south
Is this
of Omaha,
all
Nebraska.
good?
Their plans, however, didn't go as
So the
planned.
basic anatomies.
Shelter caves are exactly what they sound like. Natural reek overhangs.
Okay, there's actually one more thing
caves
to
that
do
provide
for the
protection
anatomy.
from the elements, without requiring you to venture deep underground. They have been used by humans for thousands of years as temporary camping spots, offering a roof overhead and protection from wind and rain while still being open to the outside air. The shelter cave near the Platte River, south of Omaha, was one of these formations, a rock overhang in the bluffs along the river. These kinds of formations are common in river valleys where water and weather have carved out overhangs in the rock faces over centuries. In September 1985, a group of 5 young people decided this shelter cave would be the perfect spot for a camping trip. The group included Michael Wiles, who was just 12 years old, his older brother Mark Wiles, who was 18, and their friend David Funkhauser, who was 17. 2 other youths whose names weren't recorded in the accounts were also part of the camping group. For young people in Nebraska in the 1980s, camping in a shelter cave probably seemed like an ideal outdoor adventure. You got the experience of sleeping in nature with the added excitement of camping under a rock overhang, and you didn't need any special equipment or training like you would for deep cave exploration. It was accessible adventure that felt more interesting than just camping in a tent. The group arrived at the shelter cave in the late afternoon with their camping gear and supplies. As evening approached and the temperature began to drop, September nights in Nebraska can get quite cool, the group decided to build a campfire. They gathered firewood from the area and built their fire near the mouth of the shelter cave,
Basic
where
anatomy
smoke
done.
could escape while still providing warmth to the space where they were sleeping.
I just see
The
geometric
campfire burned as
shapes.
the group sat around it, probably telling stories, eating their camping food, and enjoying the experience of spending a night in a shelter cave. Eventually, as the night grew late, the 5 young people settled into their sleeping bags beneath the rock overhang. The campfire was still burning, or had burned down to coals, providing residual heat to the shelter cave. They felt safe and comfortable. They were under a solid rock ceiling that had presumably been stable for centuries, and they were together as a group in a popular camping spot. But what the group didn't understand, what they had no way of knowing, was that they had created a deadly combination of circumstances that was slowly destabilizing the rock ceiling above them. 2 forces were at work: groundwater seepage and heat from the campfire, and together
no.
they were compromising the structural integrity of the overhang. Groundwater had been seeping through the rock layers above the shelter cave, probably for a long time. This constant moisture infiltration was gradually weakening the rock, working into cracks and joints in the stone, expanding and contracting with temperature changes, slowly turning solid rock into something more fragile. In geological terms, this process is called weathering, and it's how rock formations eventually break down and collapse. The heat from the campfire added another destabilizing factor. When rock is heated, it expands. When it
Alright.
cools, it contracts. This constant expansion and contraction creates stress within the rock structure, particularly along existing cracks and weak points. A campfire burning beneath a rock ceiling creates a significant temperature differential between the heated rock surface and the cooler rock behind it, amplifying these stresses. The combination of weakened rock from groundwater seepage and thermal stress from the fire was creating a situation where a large section of the cave ceiling was becoming increasingly unstable. But there was no visible warning, no creaking sounds, no falling pebbles to alert the sleeping campers that anything was wrong. The rock above them looked solid and permanent, as it had for generations of people who had sheltered beneath it. Then, without any warning whatsoever, catastrophe struck. A massive slab of the cave ceiling suddenly gave way and collapsed. One moment, 5 young people were sleeping peacefully beneath what appeared to be a solid rock overhang. The next moment, tons of rock and debris came crashing down on top of them. The collapse happened with devastating speed and force. The rock slab, weighing several tons, fell directly onto the sleeping area where the 5 young people were positioned.
Oh no.
The impact was tremendous, and there was no time for anyone to react or try to escape. 3 of the 5 campers were directly beneath the falling rock slab when it collapsed. Michael Wiles, the 12-year-old boy, was crushed instantly beneath the falling debris.
Shit.
His 18-year-old brother, Mark, who was responsible for organizing the camping trip and looking after his younger brother, was killed in the same instant. Their friend David Funkhauser, the 17-year-old, also died beneath the falling rock. The 2 other youths in the group somehow escaped being crushed by the collapsing ceiling. Whether they were sleeping in a different area of the shelter that wasn't directly beneath the failing section, or whether they were just incredibly lucky in how the rock fell, they survived the collapse. But they were now trapped in a nightmare scenario. 3 of their friends had just been crushed to death by falling rock right next to them, and they were surrounded
Rip.
by tons of fallen debris in a partially collapsed shelter cave. The 2 survivors were in complete shock, unable to fully process what had just happened. They tried desperately to dig through the rubble to reach Michael, Mark, and David, hoping against hope that their friends might somehow have survived beneath the fallen rock. But the weight of the collapsed slab was enormous, far too heavy for 2 teenagers to move without equipment and help. The 2 survivors eventually had to make their way out of the partially collapsed shelter cave and seek help. When rescue workers and emergency personnel arrived at the shelter cave, they found a devastating scene. The rock overhang that had seemed like a perfect camping spot had partially collapsed, with a massive slab of ceiling now lying where the sleeping area had been. The bodies of Michael Wiles, Mark Wiles, and David Funkhauser were crushed beneath the rock, and recovery of their remains would require careful work with heavy equipment to lift the collapsed slab. The investigation into what caused the collapse identified the deadly combination of factors. Groundwater seepage had been weakening the rock structure over time, and the heat from the campfire the boys had used had created thermal stress that provided the final trigger for the collapse. For the 2 survivors, the psychological trauma of that night would stay with them for the rest of their lives. They had watched 3 friends die in an instant, crushed by falling rock while sleeping in what was supposed to be a safe camping spot. The randomness of who lived and who died, determined simply by where each person had been sleeping.
Nature's not entirely random. If you pay attention to geology, chemistry, and physics, you'll know why something happened, exactly how it happened. But yeah. Alright. Not sure I can do with this next section here. Okay, so the basic anatomy is looking decent. I'm hoping like this variation of like drawing the base of the the anatomy base, or base of anatomy. I don't know what to fucking think. Here. I'm gonna have to mute you because I don't want any personal information is suddenly being shouted out in this stream. Sorry, but I it's Twitch rules. If something personal information gets out, I may end up getting banned. Sorry. Also just for safety reasons as well. Alright. Just let me know if the arguing stops. Here you go. Alright.
Alright, we're checking out the only game where you can allow the moon to get vengeance by giving it 1 billion times the mass of the sun. It's Universe Sandbox.
What else can I do for the
I will
base?
say, usually I just like zoom into Universe Sandbox kind of randomly after I slow it down. How fitting that Florida is right here. This is Earth, also known as Bully Earth. The reason why is because the Earth has been kicking the moon around for so long. Everyone only cares about the Earth. No one ever cares about the moon. Now, you'll notice that you have to zoom in quite a bit before the moon even comes into view. For many years, the Earth has only looked at the moon as a source of nighttime light reflection. And I guess, I don't know, tides. But I wanted to find out what would happen to the Earth, and I guess the rest of the solar system, if the moon's density
Let's see. I
slowly
think
went
we
up
start
over
on
time.
the.
Now, if you look at the moon and you turn the mass of the moon into Earth's, you can see that the moon barely has little over 1/100th of the mass of Earth. Now, time goes on, everyone's having a good time. You can see right here, the orbits are doing okay.
Okay, there we go.
The current temperature on Earth, because I'm very curious how, like, you know, the life expectancy of human beings will go up or down as the moon gets more mass. Average temperature, 7.29 degrees Celsius. It goes up and down just depending on, you know, where it is in comparison with the sun. The sun, by the way, may not be here for too long depending on how much mass the moon gets. So what we're gonna do is take the radius, lock it, go over to the mass, and we're gonna go ahead and just double it. You can see right there, we are now, you know, 0.0246 of the overall mass of Earth. Now, does that do anything? Is that going to change anything for Earth? You can see the clouds are still looking lovely. The planet itself is still flying normally. Kind of waggly.
Okay.
I like how the whoa, what is going on here? I think that's just the telescope. Yeah, it's just the Hubble Space Telescope. Don't worry, everyone, everything's fine. Average temperature's going up right now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up some stuff here. What this does is allow us to see the liquid depth of Earth.
Gracie, no, it's not. Well, yeah, it was through your mic. In case of any family members starts blurting out any personal information regarding you or themselves, I decided to have you muted just in case because I don't want to end up getting in trouble by Twitch or any other social. I don't want to get in trouble by Twitch or YouTube, basically, because of their strict policies and terms of service. Whenever your family stops arguing, you can turn on your mic.
You can see right here as things kind of, what's happening is, like, you know, the planet's kind of like icing over, then not icing over. Maximum liquid depth is, you know, a little over 8 kilometers. Not too bad. So with the moon having double the mass, honestly, nothing really has happened. In fact, if we turn this over to, where is it? The sun's mass, you can see just how far away we are from even being close to the sun. So we're gonna stay with Earth over here. So mass, we're gonna go ahead and double you again. All right, let's go ahead and move things along here. Honestly, Hubble telescope, you're a good friend, but you're kind of getting in the way. I'm gonna have to evaporate you. Fully Earth, average temperature, still looks normal.
Alright.
All the water on the planet, kind of the same depth. It's going up a little bit, I guess. What's the life expectancy? Oh, we're fine. Usually it's right around 92%, so we've lost like maybe 1.5% of people. I really don't even know how they died. Just one particularly strong tidal wave one day or something like that. I don't know. Obviously, though, the moon has not yet gotten its vengeance. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to double the mass yet again. So at this point, we're almost at 1/10 the mass of Earth. I mean, the orbit still looks fine. You can see the orbit very well here. I have my space goggles on because if we take them off, absolutely nothing happened. It's supposed to make the sun unreasonably bright, but I'm not really looking at the sun. There it is! Ah, there's one thing I love. It's feeling my retinas fall out of my skull. There we go. All right, the moon is still in a fine orbit. Everything is okay. The maximum depth of the water is going up slightly, but I think everything is still fine. What is the chance of
Let's see here.
likelihood? Still around 90.5%. At this point, it's like,
Oh,
why double
yeah.
it when you can go up by 10? Are you ready? So at this point, the mass of the moon is almost the same as Earth. And you can see immediately what happened to the orbit, because now these two aren't really like the moon isn't orbiting the Earth. They're kind of orbiting one another. So it is sort of going to pull the Earth out of its original orbit from the sun a little bit. Kind of like I'm making a Venn diagram here. There you go. There's inside the two circles here. What is the one thing these two things have in common? Sadness, eventual death. Over here to the average temperature,
Yeah.
still mostly the same. It's a little bit cooler. I like how the speed that the Earth is moving through the solar system is getting like, it's crazy. So like, look at this, 1 kilometer a second. Oh, less than 1 kilometer a second. And the moon comes around at 29 kilometers a second. Kind of curious how it messes with the orbital period to like have a year, because it's not like perfect right now. All right, well, the moon is now going to be the big brother. So we're gonna go ahead and double it. So now the moon has double the mass of Earth. What does that mean? Is
There
it
you go.
going to pull the Earth too close to
Okay.
the orbit? Is it going to rip the Earth apart? Is it going to start yanking the water from the Earth, which is something that I have seen before? No. Honestly, this looks like a pretty symbiotic relationship. You can see the moon just kind of there in the distance. You can see Saturn getting shotgunned by all of its different orbits. That's interesting to watch. I'm gonna speed things up a little bit just to see if anything happens. Just see if anything weird goes on over here, or if they continue to share like a really nice orbit. Huh. How about that? The dance that bully Earth and the now hypercalorically dense moon are doing is totally fine. The rotational period for like a year is now completely different because the Earth doesn't really, like, it's not in orbit around the sun anymore. It's in orbit around the moon, and the moon is orbiting the sun. So now the moon is what we care about for what a year is. So what is a year for the moon? Oh, this is interesting. It still counts the Earth as its orbit. Well, it kind of goes back and forth. There, watch. Okay, so now it's the sun. Oh, and now it's Earth. So what we have to do, obviously, is we're going to have to increase the mass even more. We're going to make this 2 more times. So now the moon is 4 times the mass of Earth. I'm gonna slow things down here, just in case it rips the Earth limb from limb almost immediately. You never know. Okay. The Earth is still looking good. It does get very, very close to the moon. One of the things that you can do is you can land on the surface of the Earth, and then you can kind of like, see what space looks like from here. And so that's the moon. I wouldn't say it's closer that it looks like freakishly unusual. So far, the Earth and the moon are doing just fine. They're still living in harmony. The average temperature of the Earth is going up slightly. Everyone is getting much older because years are much different now. They kind of happen like almost instantaneously. It's kind of interesting to see how the tides work now. Africa never gets any water at all. The average temperature of the Earth is starting to go up like kind of substantially though. You'll notice each time the moon goes by, whoop, it goes up like another 0.2 degrees Celsius. Whoop, every time. Watch, woo. So if we just let this go on and on for like a long time, where does it end? Like, will the Earth just keep kind of slowly heating up forever until it murders everyone? Or will it eventually kind of like level out to a new normal? It's still going up, 0.2. Each orbit. It's like clockwork. Look at it. 27, 27.4, 27.7, 28, 28.4, 28.7. How's the, oh no. The Earth and the moon have separated. They've like gotten divorced. They're no longer together. The moon now has its own orbit that it can enjoy. And the Earth is all alone. And with the loss of the moon, 20% of the Earth immediately died. They just couldn't handle it. Like, we're not doing this anymore. Now, to be fair, the average temperature of the Earth now, due to the moon constantly superheating it, is 38.5 degrees Celsius. That means that, depending on where you are, we can turn this into Fahrenheit. The area of Florida is now 101 degrees Fahrenheit, which honestly in the summer is pretty normal, but we're in January. As a Floridian, even I can say in January, you know, we could get maybe like 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're up about 30 degrees. Okay, finally, now that the moon is gone, it has begun to, never mind. The Earth is it just continues to heat up for some reason. Now it's at 50 degrees Celsius. Just the moon doing this is going to end up killing every single person on Earth in the slowest, most agonizing way possible. You can see what happens every time the temperature goes up. Oh, some people live and then a lot of people die. And then some people live and then a lot of people die. You may be saying to yourself,
well, great. What's everyone dying from? Can't everyone just get better air conditioning?
Well, the problem is that the ice in the poles is starting to melt, like a lot. So like every once in a while, we're losing another 100th of a kilometer. You can see that like, I don't know, every month or so, we're losing a meter of ice. Now that said, the moon has yet to completely destroy all life as we know it. And so we're going to have to take the density and the mass and increase it by double again. Actually, why do rookie numbers? Let's just do it times 10. Now, in case you're wondering what times 10 makes this, we are now 0.12 the mass of Jupiter. Now, I think from where the moon is, it's far enough away from all of this stuff that I don't think it's going to do anything. Like, I don't think it's going to be pulling Mars or anything like that out of orbit. I think everything's going to be just fine. It's not going to be until we get to, you know, be roughly the mass of the sun that I think that the moon is really gonna start screwing up our solar system. Real quick, I need to show y'all something. I went back in here just to see what would happen if I increased the density of the moon like very, very quickly instead of like super gradually like we had been doing. Hold on. So right now, we're about half of the density of Jupiter. Now, you may notice that for whatever reason, the moon seems to be getting very, very, very close to Earth right now. We're talking like freakishly close. We're talking like unreasonably close. We're talking like right about now, the moon is going to start pulling Earth apart. And the average temperature of Earth from this close contact of the moon doing a drive-by is 40,000 degrees Celsius. When this hits, there is a gigantic supernova explosion that occurs. And they did recently improve the way that the supernovas look. So this is pretty cool. James Webb Telescope, I've got bad news for you, man. You've got a supernova coming at you, and the surface temperature of this telescope is going to start getting very, very hot. 54 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Celsius. The supernova isn't even there yet. 70 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Celsius. It is now slowly being captured by the supernova. 120 degrees Celsius, 130 degrees Celsius.
No, fuck it, let's do this.
200, 250, 500. 1,000. I love how it's still in one piece. Like this, the temperature of the satellite is 1,790 degrees Celsius. It's glowing red hot, but I mean it's still there. I don't know how. 4,000 degrees Celsius. What's the telescope made out of? It is glowing white hot. 6,000 degrees, 7,000 degrees Celsius. I'm kind of curious if this is going to end up destroying like the entirety of the solar system. I don't think so. This thing's up to 9,000 degrees Celsius, by the way. I love how it doesn't melt or anything. It just gets brighter and brighter, like its own little sun. The supernova is continuing to expand. It is now flying outward throughout the entirety of the solar system. This number is still growing. This number is now at 25,000.
Oh no.
Is there a limit? Is the supernova going to end at some point in temperature or not really? Is this just like an infinite number? 55,000 degrees Celsius. I think it's finally slowing down. Over here by Jupiter, with all of its awesome moons, I don't know that it's going to survive this. Yeah, see all the cool moons over there? We're at 57,000 degrees Celsius, by the way. How are the moons in Jupiter? Oh, they're fine. They're at -20. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say it's at -25 degrees Celsius. It didn't gradually jump. The game is now just giving me numbers. It's like, it's 6 degrees Celsius at this point. 20.
The game's giving me numbers at the point. That's funny.
I'm pretty sure that we will have, I think that this is going to end up destroying the entirety of the solar system. We're going to try and increase the entirety of the mass of the moon, like slowly again, to see if we can not get a supernova immediately. Because yeah, all the planets are now just being completely engulfed by the supernova, which never ends. It just goes and goes, and there's the whole solar system. It's gone. All right, I'm gonna try and see if we can get the moon to separate. Now, you can see right over here, Earth, otherwise known as Gray, what have you done? And the moon are still kind of together. You know, it's the moon is still kind of wobbling around the Earth. I'm gonna go ahead and increase the mass just a little bit here. There we go. Yeah, let's get it at 1 full Earth mass. There we have it. Now they should have their little like dance where they're both good friends. Okay, they just kind of orbit around one another. Oh, the moon's gonna keep gaining weight. 1.5.
I wonder,
0.7.
Dark
double
Wizard.
the mass of Earth. You can see the orbit
Oh,
of
the
the Earth
Dark
now.
Cat Girl Wizard.
The Earth is basically like driving drunk at this point. I like how I've done this. And this time, there's more people on Earth. Somehow the birth rate of Earth has gone up. Actually, the average temperature on Earth is okay right now too. All right, increase the mass of the moon a little bit more. Now it's like, you know, 1.5 times Earth. This is what happens when you do it nice and slow. See, everyone has time to deal with the repercussions. I like that the orbit is just going faster and faster the more I make this mass. Okay, 3.7 times, 3.8,
Okay.
4.7. You're now 5 times the mass of Earth. Okay, we've got some things happening. This time, at least, we didn't get a supernova. You can see right over here that the moon, thanks to its incredible... What is going on? Like, it almost looks like the moon is turning into an Earth, kind of. Whoa, that might not be good. Earth, how you doing over there? Earth is like,
I don't feel so good.
average temperature almost 6,000 degrees Celsius. It'll be fine. All right, let's keep going over here. Now, the moon should slowly digest the Earth, hopefully without creating a supernova that instantaneously obliterates the entirety of the solar system. Let us go ahead. Oh, that ain't good. Hey! Woo! The radius of the moon has gone up slightly, only because it's been like eating the Earth. Not really because of anything that we've done. That's cool. We've kind of made our own Saturn in a way. Let's keep that mass rolling. 25, the mass of Earth.
Oh no.
I think it's interesting that the two beings have just clashed, and the Earth like won the sumo match. Now, as it is, the Earth is going to have to take over in the moon's stead, obviously, as we increase the mass. So where are we right now? Yeah, let's go one full Jupiter. Notice it's starting to slurp up all of these celestial gases at this point. Every once in a while, the temperature gets completely out of hand. It gets up to like 100,000 something degrees Celsius. I can't catch it. It only appears on the screen for like a split second. Let's go times 10 Jupiter. Kind of like a rave party going on right now. It's going all kinds of different colors. Honestly, all
rave
the
party?
awesome stuff is
Nice.
happening over here by where
Hey,
Earth and
hey,
Moon used to
hey.
be. Look at the temperature!
What the fuck?
We are going negative. We are now the mass of the sun at this point. We have basically created a sun. It is actually called a star at this point. So, in the battle... Whoa! Happy 4th of July, everyone! That's awesome to watch! I love how there's just more and more color vomiting out of the gray. What have you done? Notice the sun, at this point, is getting pulled out of the center of the solar system. As you would imagine, Mercury as well just got slingshotted. Now, we're at 500 Jupiters, so we're gonna have to increase this.
Oh no.
What did I say, like 1 billion times the mass of Jupiter? Let's just make it 100,000 to start off. That should be good. It wouldn't even let me do it perfectly, so I had to like, oh, there goes the sun. Woo! Hold on, we've got like a game of chicken going on over here between the star that we have made and the OG sun. Whoa. Woo. It is going to start tearing apart the entirety of the solar system, I believe, at this point. You boys lack Celsius? You lack 358,000 degrees Celsius? More? Actually, let's just go for, what does this turn it into? Was that 8 million? Yeah, looks good. Now, I think that when we did this, we effectively made a black hole. We did. There it is. There's the distortion in time-space that's happened right now. Oh, wow. Okay, Jupiter just made like a 90-degree turn. Look at it. It's like, no, Gray. No! Whoa! Before everything gets destroyed, I mean, we're gonna have to continue to bring this mass up. Yeah, let's just do that. Sure. At this point, I don't think
Oh yes, bring the
that
mass up
anything
even more.
is going to be able to pull away. Like, you noticed before that Jupiter managed to kind of slingshot out of there. At this point, I think that the mass is so strong that nothing escapes. Yeah, there goes Saturn. I'm surprised that the rest of the... Never mind. I was gonna say, I'm surprised that the rest of the solar system is still in one piece. Not anymore. And there we go. And as we zoom out, the only thing that's left is the horizons. Well, turns out...
Isn't me, does gray sound like Matt Pat in a way? It does.
Now, I want to start off this video by telling you, have you ever fell for a scam? Don't actually feel bad about it, okay? Because what we're looking at today is some pretty intense military-style attacks on people's computers, people's businesses, people's way of life. Now, I want to start this video off with something a little bit goofy-doofy here. This is a interview with 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙬𝙖𝙩𝙀𝙀. Now, this is from the 𝙂𝙀𝙣𝙀𝙀 team, so they actually showcased them capturing a North Korean hacker, a North Korean scammer in style. So to give you an idea, for anybody that doesn't know, in North Korea, there is a huge organization. There's a huge sort of like cyber attacking group out there, Lazarus group. There's just cyber attacking teams up the ass. And a lot of these guys try to get jobs in American companies or companies around the world to steal information from them and make a chunk of money that all goes back to buying filet mignons and Maseratis or whatever the fuck Kim Jong-un actually ends up wanting, right? It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
state-sanctioned criminal operations. And I think because they're nuclear armed, nobody's really going to fuck with them. Unless, of course, they get a little bit too big for their britches, okay? Then at that point, you know, you send the fucking A-team over and put some bullets in people. But that's way, way outside my department. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, according to 𝙂𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, this is a man named 𝙂𝙚 𝘂𝙀𝙀𝙀. Now, this is from Barranquilla, Colombia. Now, if you think that this is a real Colombian individual, then I've got some bridges to sell you, okay? This is kind of like if I started calling myself Michael Roberts. Yeah, I'm Michael Roberts from Iowa, guys. I mean, really? Really now? Are you sure, Dinesh? That's probably the actual normal response to the story, right? Because again, if you have functioning eyeballs, then I don't know how you're going to be falling for this. Anyways, this guy was apparently bouncing from connection to connection, sometimes Asia, sometimes Europe, wherever the VPN may take you, bucko. So again, in order to catch a scammer, the best thing you can do to the North Koreans is just ask them how their days are. So listen to this.
So where are you located?
Well, I'm currently based in Barranquilla.
Sorry?
Barranquilla, Colombia.
Okay,
Barranquilla.
okay, and you're Colombian?
Yeah, Well,
Are you Colombian?
pardon?
Oh
Are you
no.
from Colombia?
Yeah, I'm Colombian. Well, I'm originally born in Colombia and moved to somewhere and returned to back.
So immediately you can see that our friend Sophia, okay, she's already she didn't even have to use any Jedi mind trickery here. All she had to do was ping location. Hey man, are you from Colombia? And of course our friend here, 𝙂𝙚, or I don't know, insert random Korean name, probably isn't from there. And she's laughing, we're laughing. He is not laughing because he failed this basic check right over here. So obviously at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing one can do is look at where they found this individual. And it seems like he did have a LinkedIn, Sebastian Peralta, a software engineer with AI expertise. Barranquilla, Atlántico, Colombia. So of course, if you, again, read through this, the guy's got all this AI slop humor. Look at how funny the humor is, boys. If programmer equals tired, return. Oh, that's so sweet. Turns out the guy wasn't actually somebody that worked for Zemaga or Microsoft or anything. It was apparently a North Korean individual. And of course, when they went down the rabbit hole even further, of course, obviously, they started reaching to Sebastian over on WhatsApp, which at that point, they started adding them onto Discord. And of course, when they found out that on Discord, their account was literally just 13 days old. And if you look at that profile picture, I don't know if you're starting to get GPT eyes like me, but you can just spot text, images, even video, kind of a mile away. You know, a lot of it reminds me of, getting little calls on my phone from time to time or messages like, I got a work opportunity for you. You want to make some easy motherfucking money? And usually it's always no, but, imagine if you're somebody that is kind of desperate for a paycheck. You probably might actually go down the road and accept some of those scammy messages, right? And that's unfortunately where the next part of the story takes us. The kind of people that these individuals really do target. But before we go to that part, I want to kind of cover even more things that have been funny, okay? So to give you an idea, these are a set of images. And you might be like, whoa, this looks like an ID card. Yeah, it is actually an ID card, fabricated through ChatGPT. So for anybody that doesn't know, according to Genians, there is a group called Kimsuki, right? Which is another North Korean hacking group. And what brought them into limelight in the last couple weeks was they tried to do a spear phishing attack, a scam attack, on a South Korean defense-related institution. Yes, the defense groups are getting attacked. And of course, you might be like, what are they using? ChatGPT, generative AIs to produce sample ID card images, which were all leveraged in these attacks. Now here you can see that they were sending phishing emails from, again, domains such as liveml.cafe24.com. Now, of course, is this a legitimate domain address? No, absolutely not. And it's one of the reasons why I tell you, when you get a shady email that looks even slightly real, I mean, this looks pretty good. Always look at where it was sent from. Sometimes they can get crafty, but most of the times they'll never be able to absolutely pull the wool over your eyes if you're a careful Andy. Now, at some point during their communications, they had sent an image of a government ID badge. And of course, you might be like, well, that looks pretty normal. But of course, the moment you look into the metadata for the badge, you can see that it was made with GPT-4o, OpenAI's API. So yeah, it's just that easy to scam the average person, ladies and gentlemen. It really just is. But by confusing the average person, it then went even further into the story, where again, files were, sort of traded around. They started to look at the pathing for this kind of attack, and it just basically started resembling an actual bit of intrusion. But the ability to phish somebody has gotten substantially easy with time. And Kimsuki is a group actor that targets, again, some of the biggest people: nuclear power operators, think tanks, industry, and the Ministry of Unification for quote-unquote espionage purposes. This quite literally is some of the most insane hacking happening in front of our eyes. And you might be like, well, how are they getting so brazen with their hacks, 𝙂𝙚? Like, how are they faking the stuff so easy? A lot of it is because deep faking has become such an easy thing at this point that it's actually just scary. You know, if you go to one actual repository, Deep Live Cam, this is something that I showcased probably, I want to say, about a year ago now. And of course, this is a real deep live cam. This is the deep fake tool that you can use in real time. So this is an individual who put Elon Musk's face on him, and in real time, through their webcam, is applying that face onto them. And for the most part, to an actual scammer, it might be convincing enough. In fact, it is incredibly easy to set up. Even if you don't want to pay them for the automated compiled version, you can build this with yourself. I've even shown you how to do it using Python 3.11, pip, git, ffmpeg, and God forbid you're using Windows, a few runtime environments, cloning the repository, downloading 2 models, and of course installing dependencies. A lot of the stuff just does it for you in the background. You can literally take a dumpy while your computer is putting together the best deepfake softwares that you can find. So of course, running this is incredibly easy. For instance, just having it built right over here, it's as simple as selecting a face, so I can put Kim Jong-un's face right over here, and of course I can select my face, and as soon as I hit that good old-fashioned start button, ladies and gentlemen, and give it an output path, you can see that very easily it has given me that image. Now, within fractions of a second, it actually ended up giving me the Kim Jong-un face for my channel. Now, you might be like, well, ladies and gentlemen, what are we going to do, 𝙂𝙚? It's getting cooked as a society. This is actually not even the worst that I've seen. There's a lot of people that are actually just recording videos in the manner that I'm doing and using open source, freely available solutions like WAN 2. I forget the exact decimal number, and using it to actually create pretty realistic looking images of completely different people. I mean, the ability to scam an individual or deepfake has become so easy that really, again, I'm not here to make this a tutorial for you. I'm here to raise awareness and tell you that, listen, anything you see on the internet, no matter who it is, you can't believe it unless you see that with your own eyeballs in reality. But if you don't believe me here, just look at what happens with 𝙂𝙀. He actually showcases him doing this in real time. He's got the same tool that I was using, and he puts KSI's face on. And yes, while it's kind of glitching over here, the coolest part about it is how effective it's working in real time. I mean, he's literally he's literally just deep faking himself as other people and putting himself on to this like
Whoa.
this like chatterbait style application. Now again, ultimately it takes you to the next aspect of this story, right? Now this year, you may not have heard about it, but a woman from Arizona was sentenced for $17 million information technology worker fraud scheme that generated revenue for North Korea. Now, the reason why I showed you the deepfake stuff too is that this lady probably fell for the same level of deception that I just brought up to you. So an Arizona woman was sentenced today to 102 months in prison for her role in a fraudulent scheme that assisted North Korean IT workers posing as US citizens and residents. And of course, that helped with obtaining remote positions at more than 300 US companies. I mean, that's insanity. Moss ordered Chapman to serve 3 years of supervised release to forfeit $284,550.
It wasn't even her fault. Jesus Christ.
North Koreans, and then to pay a judgment of $176,850. I genuinely do feel really bad for this woman. And the reason why I feel bad for this woman is when you actually listen to what her story is. So CNN made a pretty good write-up about it where they showcase the same technologies that I'm bringing up to you, but they also showcase how often these guys use things like ChatGPT in order to pose as Americans. The ability to scam and spearfish have gotten so easy that anybody with a computer or a GPU can get their hands on easily accessible models and do this shit for themselves in real time. So basically, the scam, as you can imagine, is a North Korean talks to an American who becomes a facilitator. Basically, they are the face of the North Korean. So basically, they apply, they take the money, and then the money they get is then sent off to the North Koreans. They are basically the in-between, because obviously a North Korean can't just easily apply for a US job. They need a face of something. So for a lot of the North Koreans who are actually phishing individuals and like getting into these crazy places, they're using a lot of these AI tools. Now you might be like, well, if they're using things like ChatGPT, Gemini, can't you just like block the country? That's already a thing. They've already blocked these. Dude, North Korea is probably one of the most sanctioned fucking countries in the world next to Russia and Iran. It's not the sanction or the blockage that's going to help them. They have VPNs too, guys. Like, come on now. But even if they didn't have a VPN, having access to just open source models that run locally on your system, you can't take that away. You can't prevent them from downloading a file and putting it through llama and serving it, right? So for instance, some of the ways that they would use prompts is, for instance, if they wanted to look more human, they would be like, write me a couple sentences to thank the interviewer reiterating my excitement for the job opportunity. Now again, this is an example provided, but let's throw this into a quick AI. So for instance, right over here, we'll drop this in here, boom, boom, boom. And of course, we'll just hit, the good old ChatGPT think. And again, it'll give you the answer. Thank you so much for chatting me today. I'm genuinely excited about the role and can't wait to see how I can contribute. Let me know if you need anything from my side. Again, it's to try and look more human. Now, if you're somebody that has GPT eyes like me, you'll probably look at that and go think, oh, that's a cute little AI. But maybe they'll play around with the prompt a little bit until they have something that fits, right? Now, the reason why I feel bad for this woman in particular that actually ended up going to a prison cell because of this stuff is she really didn't seem to, from my understanding, have an idea. So what would happen is, in order to fit well, and this would be an example of these guys sitting inside, inside an office, quote unquote, right? Like you've got like WhatsApp over there. You've got this guy playing, like it looks to be like an office. It looks to at least be close to matching it. And they've got a clock obviously over the radio where they have to hear from old Kimmy. But then you go down into the situation and the lady that they specifically kind of targeted. So she was somebody that literally was, money wasn't there. And so eventually, she had basically moved into a nicer place. She started talking about work life. She started talking about her clients and everything of that nature. And then it turns out that the clients that she had seems to have been the North Koreans that were using her in order to get this job. And if you looked at these North Koreans, CNN basically geotagged these guys in some of the material that they had posted around or showcased how they lived. They were on fucking yachts, sitting in swimming pools in Laos. I mean, they were living nice. Now, you might be like, are they arrested? Probably not. But then again, you go back to the indictment over here and they actually kind of bring up what happens. So Chapman over here, and this, I feel bad for her, but to give you an idea, it started to get to a point where I think any normal human being should have started, having synapses fired in their head. So for instance, Chapman helped North Korean IT guys get jobs at 309 companies, including Fortune 500 companies. So the impacted companies included a top 5 major news or television network, a Silicon Valley tech company, an aerospace manufacturer, an American car maker, a luxury retail store, and a US media and entertainment company. So some of these things, especially the aerospace manufacturer, would be pretty scary just alone on that. So Chapman operates a laptop farm where she received and hosted computers from the US companies at her home, deceiving the companies into believing that the work was being performed in the United States. Chapman also shipped 49 laptops and other devices supplied by US companies to locations overseas, including multiple shipments to a city in China on the border with North Korea. More than 90 laptops were seized from Chapman's home following the execution of a search warrant. So this would be what the laptop farm would kind of just look like. And this is where, again, like, I feel bad for her because obviously she was financially destitute at a point. But, obviously when the money started rolling in and she started to kind of see what you were doing over here, it goes far beyond like just, I didn't know what was going on. No, you kind of have to have an understanding of what's going on. So millions of dollars in income were generated by the scheme, which was falsely reported to the Internal Revenue Service. And I imagine this had a huge thing to make. Remember, crime is fucking, from my understanding, pretty goddamn legal in today's day and age. If you pay the fucking IRS their fair due. If you're not paying the IRS their fair due, suddenly every federal agency becomes fucking efficient. But hey, different story. Chapman received and forged
very
checks
different
in the name
story.
of stolen identities used by IT workers. So that alone is a severe no-no. Forget just the technical side of it. This is something that you absolutely deserve to go to jail for. Now, does she deserve to go to jail for 8 to 9 years for it? Honestly, I think she's getting off a little lighter than you would expect. Because to be real with you, what she was doing, if it was any other country, they probably would have just put a fucking round into your head for like espionage reasons, right? But she ends up going to jail for it. She ends up having to give up pretty much, I would say, most of the money that she basically had earned through this, and maybe even more than that. So yeah, ultimately it was a net loss. And really the real winners for this were the North Korean hackers that were using all of these tools in order to siphon millions of dollars and God knows what else out of the country. It is crazy shit. And I really don't even have it against the North Koreans. Every time I make these videos, people think like, oh man, you're starting your shit on North Koreans. Not really that. 99% of North Koreans live in abject fear of their government, okay? It really is just the elite at the top that kind of, or an actual criminal operation, like a legitimate criminal op. And it's these organizations that pose a severe threat to the entire world, not just America, not just anything. These people basically, attack, and sometimes critical infrastructures that the world sort of relies on. So for me, when I kind of see this shit, it is scary. It is scary in the sense that,
scary.
it's not just that they're trying to earn money, it's that they're trying to sort of infiltrate into things that we need on a day-to-day basis, right? Even things like communication, things like our power, things like nuclear power, a lot of stuff people need to look into. And really, if cybersecurity, if cyber attacking was treated even somewhat seriously by the government, I think North Korea would probably have been fucking shut down or glassed off the map at this point by an American agency or a likewise agency. And the thing about it is, can you capture these people? No. Just like the lady we looked at earlier, she really wasn't somebody that made a lot of money through this, right? There's drug dealers that get arrested, and usually for them getting arrested is just like part of the job. And really, at the end of the day, she wasn't really somebody that was shuffling money to like an offshore account that she could dip into after she had come out of federal prison. You know what I mean? Like, actually make the crime fucking worth it. Now, this woman seemed to be incredibly desperate, right? Really, she was. And she might not have known anything was illegal, but by the time you get to like the laptop farm shit, you know something's fucking illegal. Simple as that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it is wild.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
Through LinkedIn. These North Koreans were crafty enough to get into over 250 companies and do some pretty nasty shit across the board. And even while the judge acknowledged she seemed pretty remorseful, like genuinely remorseful, she still got handed a sentence of 102 months in prison and 36 months of supervised release. Simply because this actually threatened the security of the nation. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen,
Yep.
this is just one of the many ways that these kind of companies are kind of hacking around. North Korea is not just using malware to, not just using AI to write their malware. I mean, they were pretty good at that beforehand. But the AI stuff really has helped them use the human aspect into actually hacking a lot of organizations as well too. The easy aspect of phishing, the difficulty of phishing and pretending to be an American has sort of just like been easily like the barrier of entry is just diminished successfully. These guys are sitting around with some of the most easily accessible tools and models, using it
Yeah.
on a pretty day-to-day base to infect anyone. So if you're ever wondering how easy it is for your company to get hacked, just remember, all right, these guys are out there generating the fakest of selfies, the fakest of military IDs, the fakest of fucking emails, all looking pretty decently good because AI's just gotten that crazy. But if you're not paying attention 100%, there's a good chance that you're hiring some.
I know the hair is hyper detailed here, but it's gonna be severely less detailed for when you get into like the clean detail part or the actual art piece. But yeah. Allow me to move the camera over. All right. Yeah. All right. But yeah. Gracie, are you good? Did they stop yelling? Alright. Well, I'm gonna be ending off stream anyways. Where the fuck is my OBS? There we go. Hey, Gracie, you can unmute right now since it's quiet. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with with how the art piece is going. Oh yeah, I probably like, I'm not sure, do like implement text into it, but like, yeah. But the inspiration with Doodles 8, like TikTok and Instagram, I forget the actual full username, but like, you know what I'm talking about with the wizard memes. Anyway, chat, I just want to say that thank you everyone for joining today's stream. My name is Brainless. I'm a variety streamer. I stream lots of video games, chat, as well as I draw art, I do coding, and hopefully sooner or later I'll be doing 3D modeling for everyone here. Grace, do you have anything to say?
Hope everyone has a pleasant night, day, whatever time you're in.
Yeah, hope you have a lovely day, evening, night, or time zone. And that being said, I gotta get going now. Bye bye, matinee.
Now time for.
I didn't even end stream yet. I didn't even get to end it. Gracie, can you wait a second before I end the actual stream? Can you wait a second before I end the actual stream?
Yes.
No, that yes is an actual no. I'm gonna ruin the ending of the stream. Anywho, I can't get going on, Blitzies. Bye bye, matinee.